Aim trainers. A topic I feel is very spoken about, but most people don't actually understand. Everybody wants to be considered a good aimer or known to be mechanically good, but really, what does it take? For the most part, it's all just time and effort and consistency. There's no way around it. There's no magic mouse. There's no magic sensitivity either. The only way to become a good aimer is to actually practice your aim. Just like anything, just like a sport, you need to put the time and the effort in order to get the results. Well, the question is, how do I get started on that? Well, that's kind of why I made this video. I'm hoping that I can assist because it was a pretty popular topic on how can I practice my aim for Valorant, how can I improve my aim. And so basically, I've made this video and I've kind of divided it into two parts. The first part is going to be for those who just want to train in game, and that will be things such as the range, deathmatch, something for those who don't really want to open external aim trainers and stuff and practice there. That's totally a-okay, and we can make that work. Then the second part is going to be for people who are a lot more curious into the aim training side of things. It's not going to be an in-depth guide, it's just going to be kind of like a pointer, a guider of where you can get started and how I started. But of course, I really recommend everybody looks into both. They're both worth their time, and you should if you can mix both of them together, it'll be much more valuable in my opinion. So just some things before we start is make sure you aren't overtraining. It doesn't make sense to just grind for 4 hours one day and just burn yourself completely and just not aim train again. It's better to start small, maybe an hour every day, and try and work it into your routine and be more consistent, because that's how you actually see long-term effects. That's how you actually see benefits. Some people also don't aim train long enough. Like they'll aim train for like maybe 2-3 days, and then they'll get hooked on a placebo. And then once that placebo effect wears off, they begin to feel like their aim is bad, and they go ahead and say aim trainers don't work. Aim training is just like going to the gym. If you want to see consistent progress, you need to keep on doing it consistently and for the long term. The most important advice I'll give to anybody who really is serious about getting better at Valorant, though, is don't waste all your time on aim trainers. In as much as it's great to work on your aim, one, Valorant is not an aim-heavy game. It's almost all about crosshair placement. Having proper crosshair placement will beat any player who has flicky, flashy aim, because you don't have to put as much effort as somebody who's not looking at where their crosshair is going. You just have to press a button while they have to move their mouse and press a button. It's very different. Two, you cannot afford to miss out on game sense and game time. You need to spend your time in game and try and combine your time with the aim trainers with playing the game, because that's the only way you can incorporate things that you learn from the aim trainers. You can only incorporate good habits by playing the game. So the first method I'm going to be talking about is the practice range method, and the first method is kind of just like the CSGO aimbots but for Valorant. I'm going to kind of just stand in the center podium thing where you start the practice, and you want to put it on practice and just kind of practice shooting at the bots' heads and trying to be accurate whilst keeping some speed. I think this is a good general warm-up for me, because it's kind of like just aimbots where you kind of just are warming up your flicks. Method 2 would be using the practice bots methods. So basically, we would put it at 100 bots, have them strafe, and I would go to the far right side of the range and kind of just let the bots strafe. And I just practice shooting them with my Vandal whilst strafing, so that I can practice also my counter strafing and making sure I'm hitting the first bullet. Then after that, I'll maybe do 50 bots with the Ghost and 50 bots with the Sheriff, depending. Now the best method, and I think the most underrated method, is the deathmatch. I think deathmatch is a tool that any player can benefit from if done correctly. Now, before I actually do the deathmatch, I always want to make sure that I am in the mood to do it. So I'll get some music, something, just to kind of get my mind going, getting me ready to play. And then once I've done that, then I'll go into the deathmatch with my sound off, and I'll go with the Vandal and try and practice my first bullet accuracy. So I'm going to make sure that I'm only playing for one-taps. I'm constantly being the aggressor, and I'm clearing every angle so that I can practice having good crosshair placement no matter what angle I fight, no matter where I'm peeking. And it'll also help me practice with just being prepared for fights that I'm not expecting, because you don't have the advantage of the sound cue, so it'll allow you to react more naturally. and get better at reacting to people you're not expecting. I always make sure that I'm shooting at a somewhat slow single fire tempo, just so that I can only practice trying to make sure that I have that first bullet accuracy. And of course, if I miss my shot, I'm strafing, I'm tapping, strafing, tapping. The next thing I'd do is maybe another deathmatch with the Phantom, just so I can practice my bursts. Again, prioritizing having my first bullet accuracy, but I'll be bursting instead of just single bullet if I'm tapping. And if same rules apply if I'm strafing if I miss, and trying to make sure that my crosshair placement is good and I'm accurate. If I feel like it, sometimes I'll maybe throw in a Sheriff deathmatch here, or mix it with the Phantom. Again, that's why I like deathmatch. It's very flexible and gives you kind of room to do whatever you want. If you want to say first 20 kills, you're doing it Phantom, then Sheriff, whatever. But I feel like it's a very powerful tool. As frustrating as it is in its current state, it is still something that is really strong, and I'd say is probably a really good tool. So I just want to make it clear that I am no, by any means, some aim professional or aim god, and there are like tons of people who I think would offer way better advice in terms of the route of aim training. A good person I recommend for specifically Valorant is Wes Proder. He makes really good quality videos that I watched myself and I think would be an okay start. But also just asking around in the community, in the Discord communities, I think would be a great place, and you might be able to actually get some help from genuine, actual good aim enthusiasts. And it's kind of just more of an adventure, something I recommend you explore more on your own rather than just taking my word for face value. If I was to give a general starting point and basis, I'd recommend going with smoothness and static scenarios. Those will be most beneficial because static is obviously flicking, and smoothness is something that's really underutilized, which will help in almost every category of aim training. You could also possibly throw in a little bit of dynamic clicking, just because obviously there's going to be moments where the targets aren't standing still and you need to react and read your opponents. There's a lot to aim training, and I feel like there's so much more that I could go into, but of course I don't want it to be kind of me telling you what to do. I want it to be more of a personal journey for you and an experience, and I really recommend you try and hang around these aim communities, try and talk to people, just get to know and understand what you're doing. I really give a huge recommendation to like the Revisect and Voltaic Discords. They're great people in there who will gladly assist you with whatever you may need related to aim training. Now, this wasn't a perfect guide at all. I tried my best to kind of enlighten people on the benefits of aim training and why it's important, in my opinion. To kind of give people a guide rather than just say get AimLab, get Kovacs. Giving people a kind of sense of direction and some progression. And I hope it was helpful. Again, thank you guys for the support. The support on the videos have been absolutely phenomenal off late. This video was highly requested, so I'm glad I could have made it, and I hope it will be helpful to somebody who needs it, and I really appreciate all the support that I've been getting. Peace.